you're trying to find a manufacturer in India for your clothing line and you're worried about scams, bad communication, or poor quality, this video is going to save you time and money. I've been sourcing apparel and accessories from India for many years, and today I'll show you the 3 websites I recommend to find legit small batch factories, how I reach out, and the exact questions I ask to avoid getting scammed. So let's get into it. I've been working in the apparel industry for over 20 years, and I run my own brand called Amisha Design. We partner with small artisan block printers in Jaipur, India. I also consult and mentor to help other designers and new brands with the sourcing and product development process. Before all of this, I worked in the corporate fashion world for over 15 years, so needless to say, I've seen it all. From amazing factory partners to some really sketchy situations, let's go over what actually works. The first site I use is called indiamart.com. It's one of the largest B2B marketplaces in India and covers everything from garment factories to packaging to fabric suppliers to trims. What I like about IndiaMart is there's a huge supplier base, and a lot of times you get really quick responses, sometimes within minutes. I also really like their excellent search filters that can narrow down by city, product type, or keywords like, for example, organic cotton dress manufacturer. They also have verification badges for trusted suppliers, which is really helpful. Here are the things to watch out for with IndiaMart. Because it's open to everyone, you're going to find both manufacturers and third-party sourcing agents. So always ask and confirm who you're talking to before you start doing business, or better yet, send anyone money. If you end up working with a sourcing agent, they usually take a commission, and there are pros and cons to this. Make sure you know exactly how they work before agreeing to anything. Always avoid reaching out to suppliers or manufacturers who have listings with stock images, vague descriptions, and prices that seem too low or too good to be true. If you are searching for branded products on IndiaMart, some goods could be counterfeit, so beware of this. They have been reported to have some suppliers that have sold counterfeit goods in the past, so just keep this in mind and do your due diligence. The second site I've used a lot is called tradeindia.com. It's actually one of the oldest B2B marketplaces focused only on Indian suppliers. What I like about Trade India is it's easy to filter by region, category, and company size, which can be really helpful. What I also like is that it includes many smaller factories open to low MOQs, which are minimum order quantities. This can be key for new designers and smaller brands just starting out. Also, the site has existed for over 20 years, so it's been around and it's legit and it hasn't gone anywhere. People still use it. What I don't like about it is its outdated interface. I think the site actually started in the mid-90s and it looks like the design and the interface hasn't changed that much. It's really clunky and it can be really annoying to kind of move around the site and do research. Also, Trade India tends to have generic product photos and listings with incomplete company details, almost like some companies have copied and pasted certain things from other companies. So you just have to make sure that the companies are sharing all of their own authentic photos and they're not copied and pasted or generic photos with incomplete details. You should always look for verified profiles with GST numbers or registration info. A GST number is comparable to a tax ID number in the US, and it's required for a business to be registered in India. The third site I'm going to be talking about is a site called fibertofashion.com. While I haven't personally used it to find a manufacturer yet, I have been doing a lot of research on it and have been definitely exploring the site quite a bit recently. I've also heard a lot of positive feedback about this site, that you can use it for more of a professional directory and trade platform rather than a pure B2B marketplace. That can be a positive thing. You can find a lot of insider industry articles and information and a lot more interesting stuff on there than you would find on a pure B2B marketplace. What makes Fiber to Fashion different is that it focuses specifically on textiles, apparel, and fashion manufacturing. Whereas these other sites, you're going to find all sorts of products and you really have to filter down. This site is focused specifically on the apparel and textile industry, which is great. It also offers access to global supplier networks, not just in India, but worldwide. What's helpful to keep in mind about fiber to fashion is that it doesn't always have to be transactional. Sometimes it's more about connecting you to verified contacts, and you still need to reach out, vet, and communicate directly with suppliers and ask the right questions before placing any orders. So when I reach out to potential manufacturers or suppliers, I like to keep it short and professional. And I always try to reach out via the platform before I take it to email or to WhatsApp. So I say something along the lines of, "Hi, I'm a designer based in the US looking for a small batch manufacturer for women's cotton dresses. Can you please share some info on the size of your factory, your MOQs, your price range, and if you're open to sampling orders?" I also ask them to share their website details if they're not listed on there, and what experience they have exporting to the US. If they have any photos of previous production, I ask them to share those as well. So just keep in mind that legit real factories will want to give you direct answers and want to share as much information with you as you're asking for. They should be eager to share their sample photos from their production, their website, their social media, all of it. Why? Because they probably want new business, and they know that in order to establish relationships and get that new business, they need to give as much information in order to feel like they're establishing a good rapport with the buyer or the new brand that they're working with. So after I send the initial reach out, initial message through the platform, I always like to follow up with a series of questions that kind of covers my comfort level to make sure, they're not a scam and that they are a legit factory or manufacturer or supplier, and they're open and willing to get new business. So number one, I always ask them to verify if they're a manufacturer, a seller, or a sourcing agent, just so I know what they actually do, and I'm sure. Number two, I always ask them what their MOQs are and their lead times for samples and production. Number three, I always ask them what type of pricing they offer for both samples and production and what is included in their pricing. Number four, I always ask them to share their website, their social media pages, and any photos or videos they have of their factory. Number five, I ask them how they handle quality control and packaging. Number six, I always ask them to reiterate what their payment terms are. And number seven, I always ask them to provide client references or their GST number / business registration document. Now, they might have given you some of this information in the initial reach out email or message, but just to be sure, I make sure they cover all of these 7 points. And if they're hesitant to give me this information or they're avoiding any of the questions, that's a red flag, and I probably would not proceed any further. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with best practices and tips so that you can just take all of this and put it into practice. So first, make sure you keep all communication in writing, whether it's in the platform, via email, or even on WhatsApp, just so you have a clear record of everything they're giving you and telling you. Also, WhatsApp is a very common platform or messaging service that's used commonly in India, and it's fine to use it. Just don't ever share too much personal information. Always ask for their website, social media pages, and factory photos / videos to verify legitimacy before you share any details or payment information. Ask which countries they currently work with and export to, and for them to share a few of their current or past customers. Always start with a small sample order before committing to anything else. Always use globally secure payment methods like PayPal for first transactions, such as sampling. Once you've established a working relationship, you'll most likely start doing wire transfers for payments, because PayPal international transaction fees can be really high, and the industry standard is usually to do a wire transfer. But I always recommend using PayPal in the beginning because your transactions can be covered by PayPal's policies. If you found this helpful, please hit like and subscribe. It's a new channel. I'm going to be sharing everything I know from being in the fashion industry for over 20 years. Also, leave a comment below on the types of videos you want to see next, what would help you, and if you want to know a little bit more about me, please watch my short intro video, which explains a little bit more about my background and why I'm here.